Welcome to game number 1, Group B. Today is awesome, guys. Today is an absolute highlight for so many reasons. It's worth going over all of them, so let's start with the first one. Look at the blue team. Look at Team Gonen. We have the full Swedish lineup here with Smexy, Wooby, Breeze, Zelia, and Azzy. Quacknix, he's the one missing, I suppose. We could also, I guess, get Shrimpy in. As far as I know, he's still in China, but I'm not 100% certain. But either way, we have an amazing team here with a lot of guys that came back. And then over on the side of the red team, we have their opponents' names are overrated. And probably the most important things for a lot of people that are going to watch this is that this is played out on the new patch. And we have lots of changes, of course, that impact not only maps and mechanics, but experience globes, for example, are now disappearing a lot faster. So we have crisper rotations that are needed to catch all of the XP. You get more punished if you're not on lane. There's also, of course, a push mechanic that is now implemented. It's easier to dive an opponent on structures as well. So lots and lots of changes, and we still have to see how they are impacting the game on the top level in the tournament environment. Now, while I'm talking about this, I want to make one thing very, very clear, and that is, while we are going to learn a lot about not only priorities of heroes, but also how the game is now being played, please keep in mind that this is the first day of Group B. If you followed Group A, which was played in the old patch, you know that on the first day we had actually 4 matches that ended with a 2-0 score. So it's pretty typical on the first day of any tournament bracket that you have a couple of one-sided games. That's not necessarily because of the new patch. Now, this is going to tell us a whole lot, but I would definitely still wait until we see day 2 of Group B, until we have a couple of playoff matches coming up before we are jumping to conclusions here. Players are still experimenting with the new patch and all of the changes, of course, as well, so they're trying to get an idea too. So while this is going to give us some data, if you just see a match all of a sudden end in, I don't know, 5 minutes, exaggerating here, then don't immediately start your caps lock Reddit post right there. Sylvanas is actually a pick that I expected to be, or a choice that I expected to be banned. She's now even more powerful, or at least she should be on paper, than she was previously. We get a Nubarak together with that. And you've seen the priority on Dehaka. Now, Dehaka was actually nerfed a little bit, but generally speaking, because of the whole experience situation that we now have, globals will have more of an impact for you, because you can guarantee your team to be more often on lane and soak the experience. So we will very likely see that a bit more often. Same could also be true for push heroes. So it's gonna get super interesting here. Names are overrated. They're coming into this as a bit of an underdog, of course. We get Tyrael plus we get Maiev. We also have my favorite player name on the side of the red team, Hanzuka. The mix between a Hanuta and a Bazooka. I mean, what's not to love there? This might be a boomer thing, but every single time I see his nickname, I gotta laugh. It's just so fantastic. It's awesome. Now, bans on Rhaegar, and, well, let's see what we're gonna get as our final ban before the Swedes have to go for the next double pick. With the Nubarak, it's also going to be curious how they're going to use him here, because there is definitely a chance that we're going to see him try and push for structures as well. Split pushing should be a bit more powerful, but what generally, there are a couple of things that I really don't like with the patch, at least on paper, and I don't think they're going to do well. I hope that they will be adjusted in the future, unless I'm wrong. That forts keeps and core don't attack heroes that are within their range and attack a friendly hero any longer. So the target priority there is a little bit screwed up, and I don't like this. I'm so used from every single MOBA that I've ever played to see exactly that happen, that I don't really like that change. There's obviously now this armor mechanic where if you are alone next to a fort, you're gonna get a buff that helps you to survive, but not seeing a fort or a keep like targeting attackers directly is still very strange to me, and it's not a change that I personally enjoy. So I hope that this will be adjusted in the future, but for now we're going to see how teams are actually going to try and use that. Smexy with Karazim, so we're getting a very aggressive lineup for them. Zagara for even more push power, so they're going for Dehaka plus Zagara here. And we have Wooby on one of the strongest heroes on the days of old with Yrel now, the Space Goat. Still remember the days when he played Yrel against Glorang's Samuro at the last BlizzCon and absolutely demolished the entire team there. So that was kind of fun. But okay, so that leaves us with our final pick before we're heading into game number 1. Keep in mind, there's no draft restrictions here. This is also a best of 3 series as we're entering Group B, and we have Sylvanas plus Greymane. Or I think they're going to split 2 onto the lanes and are just going to try and play a straight up macro game here against names are overrated. But well, let's find out. New patch, new meta. Let's go, everybody. Cursed Hollow, our first map between the Gonen and names are overrated. New patch, new meta! Off we go, game number 1 in a tournament environment for the new patch that just got dropped and of course did a lot to the overall match play. Now, on the left side we have Team Gonen with Wubby on Urel, Smexy is playing Karazim, we have Azzy on Greymane, Breeze is playing Nuburak, who now with all of the summons that he can bring in with the beetles should also have a huge impact for any push that is being set up. And then Zelia is playing Sylvanas. On the right side of the map, names are overrated. Their opponents with the Dark Wolf on Teriel, starting with the Ardent Restoration on level 1. We got Mr. Taika on Dehaka, Sniper on Maiev, Hanzuka is playing Brightwing, and Philadelphia is playing Dehaka. So, let's get this show on the road and let's see what we're gonna get here. Over in the middle already a little bit of action. Keep in mind, Dehaka was actually changed quite a bit, so his Z Brush Stalker has now a massive cooldown increase from 75 seconds to 240. You have cooldown reduction of 40 seconds when a regeneration globe is being picked up. So if you are doing well on your lane, you can reduce that and then have an impact there. But it really then depends on how exactly you make those plays, how much you are able to get those globes, and how quickly you can then also reduce that. But it's definitely something that people will have to get used to. Generally speaking, as a side laner, he should obviously still have a massive impact here. We have at the same time now also the first camps taken in the game. A little bit of a rotation from Nuburak already happening as Breeze was starting to look for some tools. And a quick reminder as well, you have now a little bit of a push mechanic in the game when heroes are starting to attack structures with basic attacks, not with abilities, but with basic attacks. The minions that you have become inspired, gain attack speed, have a bit more movement speed as well. And this should be pretty interesting for anyone that can find themselves alone on a lane and pressuring. So you really have to make sure that you have a bit of... that you have map awareness. You need to really see where is my opponent. If they're all of a sudden solo pushing on any kind of structure, let's say during an objective, that can become a massive problem, and you should then as a team split one of your own heroes off to try and negate that as best as you can. So lots of stuff to really see how much it impacts things. Already top lane, Zagara having a bit of trouble here. Zelia on cleanup duty as he's trying to take some of the creep tumors out. And with that already done, we're having immediately, just players dancing around the objectives, going for mercenary camps here, and trying to set pushes up. Zagara is going to deal with the top lane. Sylvanas already with Siege Giant support backing off because a Sniper and a few others are missing on the map, and with Maiev not being inside, Zelia knows fully well this could be a problem. But this is exactly what I talked a bit about during the draft, and even honestly before that when we started the stream. We have now Sylvanas and Greymane set up, and even before the patch was a thing, that was huge. You can, by the way, here see the animation on the minions now that they are inspired. So you have that little fiery glow that they have there. And that's a lot of damage already at the bottom of the map. But I was talking about Greymane and about Sylvanas, and I think the two of them will do really well here, because they've been in a fantastic comp even before the new patch hit, and were used by a lot of teams in Group A already to simultaneously push on multiple lanes and try to be aggressive. And now that we have these changes, this is even more so the case. Nice push at the bottom of the map. Again, the minions being inspired and doing some extra damage. This is gonna accelerate things for sure, by the way. This was always the question, like how is the patch going to impact things? Are we gonna have a massive reduction in game length? Are there a couple of changes that will maybe then make it so that the games are prolonged a little bit? But at least on paper, most of them feel like, at least on the top level, we should see shorter matches. Which generally speaking is not necessarily a bad thing, just depends on how much the game length is gonna drop there. So objectives already locked in, at least the one at the top. We have the first tribute taken. Sniper down at the bottom of the map is now going up against 2. The wall has already fallen here. Still not a single kill, by the way. We're 4 minutes into the game right now, and we haven't seen a kill yet. We have seen Nuburak, when level 7, go straight into the subterranean shield now. Whoopi easily just fending off anybody that is trying to dive on him. Whereas up at the top, we're seeing Zagara with a bit of an adjustment on level 7, going in the vicious acid now. So for some additional slow. And then we also get the burning halo over here for Tyrael. But with tribute number 2 now spawning, we can at least assume that the blue team is going to try and get their first tribute. The spawn position at least favors them slightly, so they are most likely going to try and make the play for that and see what exactly they can get away with here. Now, while this is all playing out, we have down at the bottom of the map still our 1v1. Dehaka could of course now global towards the top, but if he does that and Urel stays, then this would result in damage at the bottom of the map. But Whoopi is actually starting to back off here and is starting the first camp. There was no delay on the tribute at the top, so it's not like we have a fight breaking out over the second tribute. The blue team, as expected, was able to grab it, and that's all that was really needed. So teams instantaneously started to move back towards the mercenary camps. Philadelphia is doing a very good job with the general creep tumor placement here and has a lot of vision and creep on the lane, which is going to benefit him, of course. Level 10 abilities are soon kicking in, and oh, Mr. Tycho sniffs out the boss play right away, which triggers an attack from the from the red team up at the top, so they go for their own boss here. Each team is going to try and set up a push. And here come the heroic abilities with the 7-sided strike for Karazim. We're getting Ardent Defender for Urel, Cocoon for Nuburak. And after the boss at the bottom left has been taken, the top right is going to follow, so they're not going to be interrupted here or anything of the sorts. Tyrael goes into Sanctification, so no judgment this time, we still get more. And now the push is on, and there it is, the combo. Sylvanas plus Greymane. Devastating, super strong and powerful. And they are taking that fort out with ease. And all of the inspired minions around them, of course, helping with the push. Now up at the top, we're seeing a similar thing happen. Brightwing with the auto attacks is triggering that. And that fort is also going to fall as the action in the middle is breaking out. Red team has to try and jump out here. Cocoon already used. Maiev will be safe for now. Oh, and mind control. Actually missing. So did not connect. As Dehaka is at the bottom of the map now trying to defeat that push. Takes the minions out quite easily. Topside boss is still pushing as well. Nobody pushing with it at this point in time. So each team has now lost one of their forts. And we have still not seen a single kill. But we have 2 tributes to 1. Gornan has 2 tributes and is threatening a curse, which now forces their opponents to start and get the tribute. The top probably going to be interrupted again. Hanzuka's close though, but Whoopi comes in and has to immediately back off here. Gets put into a corner, quite literally. And the red team is so far still looking good. Gets the Tong connected, Sanctification, and the Maw gets used on Greymane. They got the disc out too. Can they go for Azzy? And yes, they can. They hit the ult with the Haka, and that's first blood in the game. As names are overrated, grabs themselves a kill. Oh, the mind control nibbling at the Haka, but it did not connect. Bit of an idea here how the experience currently looks like. This is something that we're going to have a look at in a lot of games now, just to see how exactly that all pays out. You can see that the minion experience is currently much better for Team Gornan. There's of course a bit of an effect thanks to the lanes that were just pushed in, but this is probably the biggest stat to keep tabs on now that the experience disappears so much faster and you have to be more on lane. And it's most likely also one of the things that most players that play in their own, Storm League games have to adjust to. Because if you have a team that is really diligent about staying on lane and getting experience, and then only come together for objectives and team fights that are well coordinated, then you should see them pull ahead in the mercenary experience quite significantly and potentially take a big lead over the opponent's team. Level 13, kicking in. Greymane pushing at the top. Also empowering, of course, the minions. And that makes it really difficult for Brightwing. I mean, Brightwing was never really the best lane defender in the first place, but now that you have that mechanic, if Brightwing is alone on lane and goes up against somebody that inspires the minion wave, this will eventually result in more structures being taken out. So these are these subtle things that people now have to adjust to, and that will, of course, then also after a while impact which heroes are considered to be strong in the meta and weak. All of this is going to impact the meta for probably weeks and months to come. But next big attack, 7-sided strike already out. So far only one kill. Disc is out, hits Sylvanas. More on Greymane. They're coming in, they want the kill. Breeze is low. Sanctification and a noob got wrecked. A Nubarak is gone. That's the second kill for Names Are Overrated. And they are doing well here. Then again, Zagara in trouble, and Philadelphia gets murdered by Smexius. Kerosene darts in and delivers the finishing blow. First kill for Team Gonen. Still, they go in, lose Greymane now. Blue team lost another one. Next attack is in, and the blue team is cursed. Lots of momentum all of a sudden. On the side of Names Are Overrated. They're chasing deeper. This would also now justify splitting your heroes up a bit to get this Inspire buff for the minions even more. But the fort at the bottom of the map has already been eliminated. There's a push coming at the top that Team Gonen needs to try and take care of. Eventually, this is going to do a significant amount of damage. If they're a global, they could jump in. Brightwing could still make that rotation. But we have now a small lead in experience for Names Are Overrated, and they're still breaking through the wall at the bottom of the map. Sylvanas is taking over the top and is defending as best as she can. Raw damage output so far. Greymane with 18,000, still defending at the bottom of the map. Maiev, 28,000 for her. And another dive on Hanzuka. And Brightwing is able to get out. Jumped over towards the rest of the team. They lose Maiev though. The Keep is losing some hit points too. But all in all, I gotta say, the defense, not too bad. Not too much was lost here for the blue team. So they even have a lead in experience now. The Dark Wolf still with damage. He is going to fall. He knows it too. It's going to try and get an explosion kill, at least a minion wave, and takes a few more hit points off the Keep too. So the wall has been destroyed. Keep has taken damage. We have 3 kills to 3. Experience between the teams is very similar. And you can see where most of the experience gaps are now currently coming from. Even with just the 3 kills that the blue team got, they have pulled ahead on hero XP. And red team is letting their boss go, whereas down at the bottom left, Greymane immediately moved in with the rest of Team Gonen that was available, and so they take the boss. So these guys are a little bit late to the party, and there could technically be some damage at the bottom Keep as a result of that. We're now 12 minutes into the game. Keeps have slowly started to get scratched. But yeah, we'll see what else we're now going to get with that push that is slowly being set up at the bottom of the map for the Swedish team. So if they can take down that bottom Keep, the wall is basically already eliminated. That's going to be a big one. Brightwing, by the way, average APM 89. Confirming that Hanzuka is just as chill as his nickname suggests, and also that you don't need any micro for Brightwing. So here we go. This is the interesting part, by the way. Bottom defense is on, and the blue team is falling back into the middle to try and take the fort out here, which they can. But Dehaka has actually pushed at the top further, and I expected him for a bit to go deeper and try to get the buff as he goes for structures, but he fell back as the blue team started to retreat. So playing it safe and not really exposing himself to a gank here. If the blue team would have decided to push at the bottom of the map, this could have been pretty interesting though, because we would have seen how much stronger that push becomes. Now with the talents that we have, we now get also the Sword of Justice, and we get Bound by Law from Tyrael. We have Epic Enter on 16 for Nubarak, so that he can epically enter the opponent's backline and get those stuns connected. Next Tribute is spawning in 10 seconds, and the important part is that this could be a curse against Names Are Overrated. Dehaka's coming in and saying hello real quickly. Keep in mind, if he wants to reduce his cooldown there, he needs to get some Raging Globes. But what a fantastic Tong! Beautiful! And it's Breeze that dies. Breeze is down, but Zagara put into a corner. And despite the ult from Dehaka, she still gets killed. Well done. So kill for a kill as Maxi jumps in deep, but is a bit slow and also isolated from the team. Tries to get the heals out for them and does, but Whoopi is now the one that might be in trouble. Has already used his ult previously. Gets tethered. Maiev, Whoopi, and he is gone. The Whoopster eliminated. Azzy dies on Greymane, and the curse is so far denied. No curse for Names, for Team Gonen. Names already don't have one either, so technically true. But for them, it was more important to make sure that the opponent doesn't get one. Now with only 2 defenders, Nubarak is going to come back soon, but this is the moment when names are overrated. Realized that they might be able to take that keep at the bottom of the map out. So they immediately moved in. Sylvanas was still stuck at the top. So that's the first keep destroyed. And we are now 14 minutes into this game. And I gotta say, this is a lot more even than I expected. This is an amazing first game for our group here. And I said it during the draft already. Usually when we're looking at group matches, we oftentimes have very one-sided games. I mean, it's just the nature of any tournament, right? You know, normally you have in the first rounds teams that are not very well matched, and then as teams progress through the tournament bracket, that changes and the matches become closer and closer. But right here, this is an absolute banger, back and forth the entire time. And now we're 15 minutes in and about to hit level 20, but still a bit of a question on who takes game number 1. Currently the red team is slightly ahead because of the keep that they eliminated at the bottom of the bot lane. Now we have level 20 talents. That gives us Epiphany for Karazim. We have also Seraphim. And then on the other side, the Holy Arena for Tyrael. Zagara upgraded as well with Pack Instinct now. The only one that hasn't made a choice it is Sylvanas, who could very well go for Dark Lady's Call and try and get the CC connected a lot more aggressively. Push at the bottom of the map with 3 catapults, so we definitely need to deal with that. Structure health in general was increased by 12.5%. I talked a bit earlier about how a lot of the mechanics seem to be designed to accelerate the game a little bit. The increase in structure health offsets that, of course. So it really feels that Blizzard was trying to go for a bit of an approach that in their mind makes the games a little bit more dynamic and still doesn't accelerate it too much. Because if you just look at the changes around the experience globes, around Inspire when you're pushing on a lane, and even the dive ability that you now have against heroes that are trying to hide underneath a fort or a keep, it really feels like this all accelerates the game. But with the increase of structure health, it offsets that to an extent. Right now we're 16 minutes into our first game in the new patch and in this group. So, yep, we'll see how this is going to continue now that both of the teams have level 20 talents. And as usual, a little bit of a look here also at the minion experience, and keep an eye out on that minion XP in particular. That's now a 3,000 point gap. Doesn't matter too much anymore because we're on level 20, but still interesting. Nice sanctification over here. Good play from Whoopi though. They're trying to go for Maiev, and she jumps out. That was a pretty sweet escape. But then Smexy comes in and gets the kill. The problem is that Smexy dies in the process, and that means that their sustain is all of a sudden gone. Both teams with 2 tributes, so we're talking Curse once again as the tribute spawns at the bottom of the map. But the problem for the blue team is really that they don't have any kind of sustain. Brightwing is still available for the red team, and that gives them a pretty big advantage. But Breeze is about to complete the channel and gets... he gets interrupted. Did he get cancelled or did he actually cancel himself? I'm not quite sure, but the result is the same. No Curse for Gornan, and instead we have the red team now with the second curse against the blue team. And with only 3 defenders left, this is where it could get dicey. They seem to be trying to end the game. Now, they have, of course, heroes that can move in and trigger Inspire, and this should really help to also increase, of course, with catapults, the push power here. But is that a bit too much? Should they have gone for structures instead? We're gonna find out in a second. For now, they are starting to attack this one slowly, but no auto attacks are coming in, and the defenders are slowly coming back into the game. So this is the problem. They are all of a sudden in a situation where they might not be able to go for the core after all, and they're not getting too many structures either because they didn't split out onto the lanes. Azzy is still getting away here. Whoopi on the run, but both of them survive. And the red team, after they were trying to siege up here, is now falling back. I mean, hindsight being 2020, this would have been a better situation to go and try and take a few more keeps out and win the game in the long run, which they haven't decided to do. So, yeah, a bit wild here. Topside keep is still taking damage. They're all centered around the boss at the bottom of the map now, and that's something that Gornan is trying to stop, which is why the top keep is going to fall. Middle fort has been destroyed, and even the keep wall is taking damage, but this one is going to be eliminated. There's no saving this anymore. So the second keep is gone. That curse at least had an impact. And this might actually be the deciding fight. If the red team wins this one and grabs the boss, it could very well go for the core directly. Sanctification already out. Even the disc against Greymane to save the day. Here comes the ult from Whoopi. Cocoon against Tyrael as he was trying to chase Sylvanas. Whoopi is low and is still able to get away, but Sylvanas is dead. Sylvanas gone. 9 kills, 2-5. Names are overrated. With a big aggressive push now, Breeze is getting completely isolated from the team, pushed into a corner, and is dead now as well. And this is very likely going to be the end of game number 1. 3 defenders. We have catapults coming in from the top. Big wave also from the bottom of the map. Once more, Team Gonan throws everything they have against the red team, but they're losing Greymane basically immediately. Smexy is now on the run. Whoopi is jumping in, always attempting to buy a bit more time for the rest of the team, but it's just not happening right now. The attacks, they're still coming. They're trying to go for Smexy over here too. The core is losing its hit points rapidly here. Down to 90, down to 80. Still Whoopi trying to buy time, and he's doing a great job with it, but it's only 2 against 5, and this is just not doable anymore for them. So seems like, yeah, names are overrated. They're going to lock in the victory in game number 1 of this best of 3 series. Nicely done, GG, and well played. We're going to head straight into game number 2, but before we do, once again guys, if you enjoy the coverage on the channel here, if you enjoy the match, please like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. It also helps to boost the game to an even wider audience. And of course, it helps to get people back into Heroes of the Storm, as the algorithm recommends the videos to people that were interested in Heroes of the Storm in the past. So again, before we continue, if you haven't done it yet, subscribe to the channel and like the video. Appreciate it. And with that, we're heading straight into the second map of the series. Names Are Overrated has taken the lead. So, Gonan, they, well, gotta try and bring it back on Tomb of the Spider Queen. So, first map, already pretty interesting. Lots of back and forth. Really feels that names are overrated on eye level with the blue team, at least in game number 1. Now, we're going to see how this all plays out now that we're heading onto the second map. And I, again, want to remind everybody, while teams are scrimming for stuff like this, it's not like they're doing it to the same extent that was done during the days of HGC, where you were literally playing 8 to 12 hours or more every single day, you know, just adjusting to patches, changes, and experimenting with things. So a lot of teams will experiment with this patch in a tournament environment as they go through the games here as well. Because, yes, you can play Storm League games, but it's not quite the same thing. It's just not... It's not comparable to competitive play, where you have much better communication between teams and the skill level is a lot higher. The margin of error is much, much lower in these games here too, so teams need to adjust a bit on the fly. And we'll probably see throughout day number 2 of the group adjustments already coming in. But for now, Tyrael gets banned against Names Are Overrated, so apparently the performance that we just saw was something where the blue team said, alright guys, you know what, maybe we're gonna remove that as a tool for them, because that was pretty solid Tyrael play. And interestingly enough, the whole idea behind Sylvanas and Greymane didn't really work out for the blue team. They were trying to go for these side lane pushes, and in the lane experience, minion experience, they were always in the lead. It just didn't make up for everything else that the red team threw against them. And now we have Maiev insta locked in by Team Gonan. I like it. So they adjusted on multiple levels now to the opponent. They banned out Tyrael and they took Maiev away. So those were the first 2 steps to try and now head into game number 2 and force a third map out of the series and not lose the first match and drop down into the lower bracket of the Eternal Conflict group. But names are overrated at this point with Junkrat, and we get Anduin. Alright, so Anduin is in the house. Junkrat obviously, really nice interrupt on any turn-in that they're trying to go for. And you can combo him with a lot of stuff. I mean, not only his displacement, but also when we're talking about the traps that he's setting. We've seen a lot of Stitches combos too, just a quick hook or gorge into a trap, and then try and blow the target, the Kingdom Come, get a quick kill, turn it to a 5 versus 4, and then play around it. And Nubarag again. Smexy, this time with a less aggressive version, not going into Karazim again, but playing Malfurion instead. and having now roots available for himself, as Anubarak is going to try and start up the initial stun. But Breeze again going for the same hero. Keep in mind, Breeze is a huge fan of Diablo. So on Tomb of the Spider Queen, I could have absolutely seen him go into Diablo. They decided against that. They want to go for a similar dive play with Maiev now. And we'll see if that works out. Chromie gets banned, so she's eliminated fairly quickly. Not a first ban priority for them, but still want to get rid of her as they go. And then over on the blue team side, what else is remaining that they say, okay, this might be a little bit too much for us to handle. They go for Garrosh. So if you look at their ban pattern, they have now eliminated 3 frontliners. With Jojo, you of course have a typically strong front main tank on Tomb of the Spider Queen because of the added wave clear that comes with her. But we're now gonna see what exactly names of overrated are changing into. Muradin would be a standard answer on this. Plenty of tanks around. Muradin is one of the typical go-tos in a situation like this. If they really go down that path, we'll see if they go for Diablo instead. And we have, again, Dehaka. So Dehaka gets played right away. And there is absolutely, at least so far, against only match number 1 in the new patch, so far there's no sign that Dehaka has lost any of the priority picks. After the changes and the increase of his cooldown, a lot of people were already freaking out and was like, oh my god, unplayable. But so far that's not really the case. We get Urel again for Wobi. So the Anubarak-Urel combo that was played in the Eastern clashes by the Korean teams a lot, still strong here. And of course together with Maiev, a very aggressive front line that can jump into the opponent's team and try and wreak havoc here. While Zelia with Tychus can come in, drop his trade and try and take Diablo down a notch or two. And that leaves us with our final pick for map number 2 in this best of 3. And we get Hanzo for Sniper. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, let's go. Map number 2, we have the lead. 4 names are overrated. Let's go straight into Tomb of the Spider Queen, our second map in the best of 3. Tomb of the Spider Queen, map number 2, and the blue team is down 1 game in this series. We have Wobi now on Urel. Breeze is playing Anubarak, Azzy on Maiev, and we got Smexy on Malfurion with Emerald Dreams on level 1. Zelia is playing Tychus with a quarterback as his first choice, so going straight up into the grenade build. As we have over on the right side, the team in the lead. Names are overrated with the Dark Wolf on Diablo going into his Soul Shield. We got Hanzuka on Anduin. Sniper is playing Hanzo. Mr. Taiko for the second time in a row on Dehaka. And Philadelphia is playing Junkrat. So, can the blue team turn this one around, or are they going to fall down into the lower bracket of Group B? That's the big question right now. Them losing map number 1 also, I mean, I would still consider them the favorite. It's always a little bit weird because a lot of the guys have obviously not played tons of heroes over the past few years. They played some and they bring in all of that tournament experience that they had from past days, but that doesn't mean that they're playing as crisp as they previously did, and this is something that names are overrated take advantage of. They get also an early kill against Anubarak as Breeze dies, so that's a quick one. And Dehaka should be pretty happy about this. Good start for him. Bit annoying for Anubarak, but then again, it's an early game kill, so only a few seconds that he's missing on the map, and then immediately back to business. As usual, as the game progresses, we're going to keep an eye out on the minion experience in particular. That's one of the biggest things right now, that you have to be more diligent when it comes to laning. There's rotation down to the Siege Giants too, so already the 2 of them trying to grab them. And that should actually work out. They were at no point in vision. Obviously, Gornan is going to figure out that they're missing, but this is most likely going to come too late. So the camps clashing in the middle. This is where most of the focus is now for the 2 teams. Anubarak with the stun just before the wall stun from Diablo can come in. And with Siege Giants now, a bit of pressure down at the bottom of the map. Wubi is immediately there and is starting to take care of the Siege Giants, but they're still taking some damage. And while they're taking damage, again, the reminder that with the patch, one of the big changes that came in is also that structure health got generally improved by 12.5%. So that's actually a lot. And of course, I haven't really talked about it directly, but you already saw it in game number 1 and now here in game number 2. The mercenary camps are now appearing faster on the map as well. Previously it was the 1 minute mark that we talked about a lot, now it's down to 30 seconds. So you go much faster into a spot where you can start fighting for something on the map, where you can make a play for either your own mercenary camps or try to invade the opponent. Xaylia with a bit of a hybrid approach now, going into In the Rhythm on level 4. So In the Rhythm instead of the bigger they are against Diablo here. Could have gone for a Master Assassin, of course, as well, as we see so often. A bit of aggression against the Dark Wolf here. Another quick jump, and Diablo might have a problem, and it's a lack of hit points. So he's dead too. I think the experience change shouldn't really impact this one too much. It's a smaller map, it's easier to rotate, so we'll most likely see that kick in much more heavily when bigger maps are played. Level 6 on each side. Still our bot laners doing their thing as the first turn-ins have now happened. We have 30 gems delivered by the Swedes. And they are getting really, really close to a full turn-in. And, well, with Azzy delivering 9, they're only 5 away from getting Webweaver wave number 1. So, job well done. Very well done, actually. 3.5 minutes in and already about to hit the first objective. Wooby certainly has enough gems to make that happen for them. They just would have to guard him while he's trying to get the turn-in. Yeah, dodging out on that lick too. I mean, Wooby was obviously during the HCC days the best side laner that we had. And if you want to argue that point, then you have to at least concede that he was, let's say, top 2, top 3. But it's cool to see him on one of his staple heroes again. Yeah, gets licked here, still able to get out of this, of course. Level 7 talents on both sides now, and still the attempt by Team Gonen to go for the first turn-in. They're going for the Dark Wolf again, Diablo. A little bit low here for just a second. And yeah, still fine. So, with that said and done, we have still the attempt by the red team to bring this back. Now, they have enough gems for a turn-in of their own, so they could still do that too. Very, very bad stacking for Xaylia so far, by the way. 2 hits is all that he was able to get out with the minigun up to this point. Here's the turn-in though, and they get the first set of Web Weavers. So yeah, the level 4 for Xaylia doesn't really give him anything just yet. Normally you're always going to try to get a lot out of the first 2 rotations, but he hasn't gotten anything. This might be an opportunity. Only 3 more. Yeah, those trades that we're getting from Tigers, they're not really helpful. They're not doing a whole lot for them. But the Web Weavers, let's see how much damage they can do with them, if they can take a few of those structures out at least. So already starting to slowly bring this in the middle. We have the side lane push too, and you can now see that we have instantly heroes splitting to those side lanes in order to defend, because that mechanic with Inspire is just pretty important. So you need to make sure that you can push the opponent away as quickly as possible, and that's what they are trying to do. So AoE against minions is reigning once again supreme, and already lots of damage at the bottom of the map. Wooby is taking full advantage of that Inspire mechanic and is able to take the entire wall out against the Haka here. Still a decent defense by the Haka. I mean, the Web Weaver obviously was a huge play here as well. Level 10 abilities, nearly in. Diablo kind of trapping himself for a second. Also trapping Azzy though, and Diablo survives. Azzy didn't. Maiev is gone, and that's another kill for Names Overrators. Level 10 abilities are now coming into play for the blue team. Team Gonen with Cocoon once again. 17 stacks, by the way, for Xaylia and Tigers. And for the red team, we're about to hit level 10. They still have 70 gems in their hands, so they want to deliver at least on the side laner and make sure that they get their own Web Weaver wave. The defense was solid. Not too much lost. A couple of walls down, but no fort has been destroyed. And we do get, well, we do get Lightning Breath. So there's no combo potential for an Hanzo Arrow into Diablo Apocalypse. That was theoretically at least something they could have done. They decided against it. So instead we get Lightning Breath. And the red team has also been able to get their turn in. So now Web Weavers for Names Overrated they can try and use here. But yeah, let's check that out. Another change in the patch, by the way, just in case that you have actually not caught up on that either. I talked a bit about the reduction of the spawn time for Mercenary camps, they are spawning now at the 30-second mark and the 1 minute mark of the game. But minion waves are also now spawning every 30 seconds and always 30 seconds in and on the full minute. So that makes it a bit easier for heroes or for people to judge a bit when exactly the spawn happens, when they're going to appear on lane. So every 30 seconds you have the minion wave spawning, and it's always going to be exactly at the half minute and the full minute. Push through the middle. So, yeah, this is the hit against Dehaka with a quick disc. They're chasing Sniper though, and Hanzo is able to get back. Now, the defense was strong so far. Oh, big arrow though, and the follow-up with the barbecue as Lightning Breath is in. And that's the end of Maiev. Breeze is also getting chunked down very heavily by Hanzo. But they are going to be able to save him from the looks of it. And nope, they are not. That's the kill right there. Breeze is gone. They take most of the gems at least, but that's 4 kills to 1 now. So this is a pretty significant lead in kills for Names Are Overrated. And you can tell that Team Gonen is having some serious problems here. With Malfurion dying, that also costs them even more gems. Ruby is now at 46, so he was able to recover basically everything that they've lost. But this is still rough. It's not that big of a leading experience, but they are now fully exposed at the bottom of the map. And of course, right now, the Inspire mechanic makes sure that they're getting more and more damage on that fort. It's a nice kill against Diablo on the other hand, and they get a disc on Hanzo and might be able to get a kill here. Hanzo is able to jump out. Whoopi comes in and gets the kill. Nicely done. That was actually pretty awesome. So great job by the blue team to bring this back. Names Are Overrated was starting to pull severely ahead in kills and therefore also in map control. But with that little chain that we just saw from Team Gonen, they are now in the driver's seat. They get the second turn in and have therefore objective number 2. So yeah, not looking too bad. 36,000 damage for Hanzo, 16,000 for Maiev. Damage-wise, they can't really compare, but Hanzo has of course a lot of poke damage here. Still a bit of an interrupt by Wooby. He's just such a nuisance to the entire red team. I mean, he's interrupting him the entire time. And then together with Breeze, they're diving in and they're killing Junkrat. Super cool plays here by the blue team. And they get a root on Diablo. And this time, Diablo is going to be down for the entire duration. Did not have any stacks. The fort in the middle destroyed down at the bottom of the map. Another one's falling. And here's a bit of snowballing for you right there. Gonen at the 10-minute mark with some super important kills and the follow-up that they really needed in order to make this happen. So now they are getting an increase in passive experience. Their minion XP is already ahead by 3,700. So a very significant gap just by them being more diligent around lane experience. And that's massive. That's one thing that comes together with the patch now, and they're taking full advantage of it. Keep in mind, these guys were in their absolute prime when we didn't even have experience globes at all. So they were always forced to have clean rotations between lanes. And this is something that they can now fall back to try and get themselves an advantage on a macro level and therefore an experience lead. And right now it's working. They also have enough gems to more or less get themselves another turn in. They're not quite there yet, but they have a ton of those. And we should get an early level 16 talent. We get the big ass on Junkrat, level 13, as the blue team locks in 16 and gets, well, the blue team gets a talent and they have to defend against a turn-in. That buys Names Are Overrated sometime, but their web weavers are not really going to do a whole lot. You're not fighting against the level 16 opponent if you can prevent it. So they're just buying themselves a bit of time. They're essentially denying an immediate turn-in to the blue team by sacrificing some of their own gems to get a turn-in for themselves, and that gives them time to soak lanes, get XP, and try and get to level 16 themselves so that they can at least battle on an even talent. Now, 45 stacks for Tigers. That's what we're currently looking at. Middle already. Next jump is coming. Alright. And they're going in for the web weaver. Take it out with ease. No problem there. But it seems that the chase is on. Zelia with another grenade. He's now at 47 stacks on level 4. Still nothing to write home about. But again, at least now it makes a bit of a difference on the duration of his minigun. Whoopi gets attacked again. Still fine. Has an ult. Worst case scenario, he will have to pop that. But the next Web Weaver is eliminated, and that obviously is the last one that we had just here. Now, 50,000 damage for Hanzo. We have 22,000 damage for the top damage dealer on the blue team side. The Swedes with Tychus leading the charts. Then Maiev and also Urel are coming in. And names are overrated. They are still clinging to this game. It's 5 kills to 5. They are 1 level behind. But it's down to the turn-in now. And they are attempting to prevent it by all means possible. There's 76 gems in the possession of Team Gonan. But, well, Whoopi dies, and that is already chunking some down. That's Maiev gone, and all of a sudden that's 40 gems down the drain. Nicely done. High-risk arrow with the Haka trying to tunnel in, and they didn't follow up on that fully. But this was important. That's 40 gems removed. That was a massive Damocles sword over the head of Names Are Overrated. Them getting those kills and removing the gems from the equation was pretty big. So, yeah, that was huge. And they try to go for a boss at the top to get this one quickly. Maybe push for that top lane forward. So far, the red team hasn't taken out a single major structure. Not a single fort has been destroyed here, so they still need to work around this. We got the double pull with the Glyph of Faith now on 16, of course, for Anduin. Down at the bottom of the map, the Haka is back in. Smexy wants to help out Zelia here. Mr. Tycho pops the essence, starts to move away. Breeze also arriving. But the more they are falling down to the bottom of the map, the more value the boss is going to get at the top. And since they didn't even get a kill down here, this is bad news. If they get a kill and then can go for some counter pressure, this is a different story. But right... Oh, there's the kill. Yeah, Junkrat goes down and they're going for Diablo and they will eliminate him too. That's 2 down. Diablo will be back. Topside fort is gone. Oh, and now it's Anduin that dies, and Sniper with 20 gems is gonna be next. So they're losing too many of their own gems here. Dark Wolf dives in, tries to get the kill, and wants to get the gems, of course. Gets 1 kill. Is he gonna get more? The answer is no, and he doesn't even die. So great job by Diablo. Picks up the gems, gets a counter kill. That was massive. That was a massive play by him. Tychus is going for the fort at the top. Oh, come on, dude. Apparently Grenade wasn't cooldown on this. But that's 1 quick auto attack and that thing falls. Blue team is nearly level 20 now. They have also enough gems for another turn in. But Dark Wolf with some seriously sexy plays here. The only 2 that haven't died yet in this game are the StarCraft heroes, by the way. Just saying. Best IP, confirmed. Tychus hasn't died, and neither has the Haka. So, there's that. Okay. Should be able to get that turn in now. Has he? They need to deliver more, but they have in the middle... Nope, there we go. Tychus is already turned in, so that puts Maiev into a position where she could get the turn in for the team. So this is where it gets dicey. Now we have all of a sudden the level 20 talents for Gonan and a push. And this is really where Names Are Overrated are starting to have a bit of a problem. And as already pointed out before, if you're looking at the experience distribution here, a lot of the advantages come through the minion experience and the better soak there. It's a bit offset by mercenary XP, but generally this is really where Team Gonan has given themselves a lead. Structures, of course, as well. So now they want to go for keeps. Got to take the first one out here. Arrow, nice connect, trying to buy themselves a bit more time. Tycho, 37 gems, and Anduin to the rescue as they're attempting to save this. Push at the middle, down at the bottom of the map, nobody's pushing here. No minion wave that can be inspired by this, but they're still going to be able to, or they should be able to take this out if they commit or wait for the next wave. There's still another web weave at the bottom of the map that is doing damage, and the top side is not looking too great either. Junkrat had to rotate over and try and deal with this. Now the chance to get some damage in. Inspire is kicking in, so the new mechanic that we have in the patch to allow them to take this out faster. Nice Riptire though to blow the minion wave up and limit the push potential that they have here. Hellgate has been used as 20 is finally available for Names Are Overrated as well. And Gonan missed out on taking down a keep. So this is pretty big. Keep at the bottom of the map has taken damage, does even more now, but top lane, for example, even a tower is still standing here. And while the blue team is totally willing to fight and try and steal some camps away, they haven't been able to take a keep out. On the other hand, though, they've lost a single fort. So they've lost a single fort and nothing else. Now, still the push set up in the middle. Minion wave is coming in. Big pressure, and the keep is gone. Keep is finally gone. 9 kills to 8. 20 versus 20. So Diablo is hitting his full stacks on the baseline again. Can play a bit more aggressive now. Names are overrated. They have not given up on this. They would love to end the series with a 2-0 victory. Can they pull it off, though? They can still start a comeback here. They got another turn in. You win a team fight, you get a turn in, you get a boss together with it once that it respawns, and you can gain momentum here. This is actually the real dangerous part now. If all of a sudden, you know, there's a 5-man team wipe in a big battle, even 4, that you get through the Inspire mechanic, more structures attacked here pretty quickly on multiple lanes and try and catch up on this. So, for now, Dark Wolf still a bit low. Riptire still in play. Gets a good explosion off, but we have Malfurion with his own ult, healing it up fairly quickly. Disc missing. Sniper starting to rotate away. They're going for Whoopi. Whoopi so far not using his ult here either. No, still saving that. And Diablo also totally fine here. So, massive back and forth battles. Oh no! That's 59 gems that the Haka just lost. They kill Maiev at the bottom of the map, but that's 59 gems that are now gone. That was the ticket back into the game. It's a kill for a kill, but some kills are not like the others. That was a massive setback. That's a huge problem for Names Are Overrated. That was their lifeline at the end of the day, and they just lost it. The boss is back up on the map. 90,000 damage now by Hanzo. 55,000 for Tychus. Oh, and boy, this hurts. I mean, this really, really hurts. Yeah, that's tough. Now, Catapult. A little bit of work here. The lone Catapult. As Diablo is trying to get a hold of Breeze. Nice follow-up from Hanzo, but it's just not enough. They're hoping to force a kill here. They also hope to turn in what they have. And they are at least delivering some. But I'm not so sure if Diablo is able to get rid of his gems. And the answer is nope, he's not able to do that. Goes for a second attempt. This time he's going to deliver 29. Which is getting them close to the 60 that they need. But since the Haka died earlier, this is still a very uphill battle. Now, they might be able to get themselves away. Keep in mind that the boss is back up too. He's already getting pinged here. And now 20 minutes into the game, so everybody wants to, of course, try and see if they can maybe grab it. Breeze jumping out. That's all about control right now. Vision and control. 41 gems for Team Gonan. Diablo. Uh-oh. And Anduin to the rest. Ooh, Hellgate even used. Okay. Apparently communication was not perfect there. Yeah, there's a cooldown burn. Hellgate used by Diablo as Anduin came in and saved him anyways. So that wasn't really needed. That's a bit of a small problem that they now kind of got. Now it's not really too bad just yet, but that's a cooldown that you of course want to have in the next fight. So we'll see if they're gonna have that ready or not. But either way, as it stands, the boss is about to be taken. Maybe not. They're sniffing it out, and since it's still at 50% of its HP, they fell back. Diablo gets saved again. Hellgate cooldown not back yet. And the boss, of course, has been leashed. So they're fine there. It's getting... I mean, at this point, it's getting pretty intense. 9... They are so evenly matched. It's kind of ridiculous. 10 kills to 9. For a first round match in Group B, this is way more than I expected. I mean, even if it's 2-0 victory at the end of all of this one for Names Are Overrated, this is a super intense series. It's way more than I expected when we're heading into this. It's not normally what first matches in the group look like, but I'm totally here for it. 22 minutes into the game nearly. Once again, we have Urel jumping in. It's all about the interrupts now. We have one team with the option to get a turn in. Blue team doesn't have enough gems yet, but they're getting closer and closer. One more minion wave and they got plenty. So Whoopi is creating some space, as it's been doing for essentially the entire game. By now Hanzo is nearing the 100,000 damage mark. He's gonna join the 6-digit club in a moment. Gets the arrow out against Malfurion. Hellgate play. Smexy made it. Smexy's alive. Smexy is still alive. They tried to jump on him and take him down, and he survived. Malfurion is still in the game, and Diablo died, respawns, and is on his way back in, but they still get their kill. They take my F down. So it's a 5 versus 4. Whoopi found his R button and used his ult. Riptire comes in, and Urel is dead. Big plays now. 4 names are overrated. The core under pressure though. 90% on the core. Bottom keep is also in trouble. Red Web Weavers are going to be descending, and they want to go for the boss too. They have to make some big plays right now, and they know it. Red team is fully aware of what's going on, but the blue team, they're not bothering with the boss at all. They're trying to set a push up. They're trying to push at the bottom of the map now. Shield is coming back in. The keep at the bot lane is still... Oh, it's not falling. They're actually saving the bottom keep. Unless Breeze takes it out, and he should. Breeze should take that keep out. The problem is that the Hakas, therefore names are overrated to defend and then potentially jump into the fight. They need to end it with this. Names are overrated, knows it. Big arrow, and it's going nowhere. Keep at the bottom of the map has been taken down. Here comes the Haka. Whoopi is not back yet. Another 8 seconds before he hits the game again. And this is the big push at the top. 11 kills on each side. The keep will fall, but can they go for the core? It's questionable. Odin does so much work here, but that boss is big. We are 24 minutes into the game now, so this is going to be a lot of damage. Can the red team pull it off? They're trying. Can they get a kill here? They're looking for it. Disc is out against Diablo. Zelia with the damage. The damage against Junkrat, against Philadelphia, but the core is falling. And it's falling quickly. So is the boss, though. Boss is gone, and the core is at 70% right now. Dehaka is the first one to fall. Anduin is dead as well. Sniper with the damage. The core down to 50. Diablo gone. Hanzo gone. And this is it. This has to be it. Philadelphia is on the run, trying to escape here. The fort in the middle has taken damage to the minion wave. There's one more catapult up at the top, but the minions are going to take care of it for sure. 15 kills to 11 as the blue team is starting to cross the map and making their play for victory on Tomb of the Spider Queen. Here it is, right there. Great play from Team Gonan. Fantastic defense that they set up, and now they're reaping the rewards. Moving on to game number 3 to try and proceed through the winner bracket instead of getting dropped down into the losers part of Group B. Nicely done. Well played. 25 minutes on Tomb of the Spider Queen as Team Gonan takes the victory. GG and well played. Nicely done here. Coming up next, we have the 3rd map of the series. If you guys enjoy the content, also consider to head over to patreon.com/Khaldor. Support our efforts to keep the Heroes of the Storm esports scene alive there. It's the best way to support the channel. Huge shout out to everybody that is already a supporter. You guys are really helping to keep this alive, and you help us to host event after event for the game here. Especially after Blizzard abandoning this already 7 years ago. It's absolutely fantastic that we're still able to do this here. So big shout out to all of the supporters. And again, if you enjoy the coverage, if you would like to support us, head over there and check it out. Thanks a lot. Enjoy the next game. So, game number 3. We're going the distance in our first set in the new patch and Group B. Infernal Shrines is the map, and there was actually a question that came up on the Twitch chat. So Blackheart's Bay is not part of the map pool. So at least for the group stage, we're not going to see it. Technically, the tournament organization could decide that they're going to add Blackheart's Bay to the map pool for the playoffs. But it would have been a bit strange, of course, to have Group A being played with a different map pool than Group B. So maybe we're going to get it for the playoffs. I don't know. But at least for Group B, it's not going to be a thing here. Also, once again, if you guys are currently watching this on YouTube, make sure that you hit that like button and watch the video to the end. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done it yet. We have a new patch, lots of changes that we will probably get over the next couple of days and weeks for the meta and with the general playstyle. So the more the YouTube algorithm promotes Heroes of the Storm videos, the more we're going to get new people in that might take another look with a new patch. And, well, for very good reason. We're going to have some interesting changes there. Now, We're getting a bit of an idea here with the games that we had, of course, but this is going to be more so the case as we're heading into day number 2 of Group B, as we're heading into the playoffs, and as we're having the top teams just battling it out, trying to adjust, because even the players that you see here are still checking out the patch, thinking about how they could improve there too. And we have, by the way, immediately adjustments on the meta side, at least, for the two teams. Now, we talked from game number 1 to game number 2 about things like the ban on Tyrael, for example. That all happened in the context of the blue team having first pick, first ban, and then locking in Maiev quickly. But now Tyrael has not been banned out, and names are overrated, are picking him up very quickly. Which results in Dehaka now getting picked by Whoopi. So for all the people that were freaking out on Reddit and in comment sections talking about how Dehaka is now absolutely useless, unplayable, lost his global, it seems like at least here, for now, players are disagreeing, and if anything, he has been rising in popularity. Which makes obviously sense. Globals, in general, are strong to stay on lane, can give your team added XP. Dehaka fills that role as a side laner, and if you're diligent around those regeneration globes, you're going to get a big cooldown reduction, but you have to, of course, adjust your play style a little bit. This is a general thing. There's been so many complaints about people, from people that play the same way that they played before in their Storm League games or quick matches, and all of a sudden, you know, they're losing their games. And it's like, well, yes, it's a new patch, you will have to adjust your play style. If you've been running around as a 5-man death ball all game, and now your opponent splits out onto lanes, you're going to fall behind by 2-3 levels very quickly in XP, and then get rolled in every single fight. So, yeah. To be honest, Reddit comments are very amusing. Reddit was always, ever since the conception of Heroes of the Storm, a source of great amusement. I think it's to the day there are still threads there that talk about how Varian's taunt needs to be buffed because it's clearly unplayable. So, yeah, there's stuff like that. But yeah, that's just as a bit of a side note here. Okay, so with that, we have Hogger and Hanzo as our next pick here. ETC, Breeze with one of his favorites, and we get Greymane again. Yeah, for Infernal Shrines, we now have ETC, Dehaka. They could go for a triple frontline if they wanted to. And let's see what's happening on the right side. After we now have Tyrael with potential sanctification again, and Hogger that pokes around on the shrine, we still need a healer for them as well. And obviously the next question is, are we going to see a triple frontline for them or double ranged? Anduin and Leo. Triple frontline. Okay, so they have even more AoE that they can now play. And, well, let's see what Xaylia is going to pick. It's the final map. Whoever wins here advances to the winner bracket. The loser is not out of the group yet, but drops down into the loser's bracket and has to go through a lower bracket run if they want to have a chance to directly qualify for the playoffs. There's 1,500 euros on the line here for the Eternal Conflict. And we get Genji. Okay, Genji is in the house. The brotherly duo between Genji and Hanzo. Once again, game number 3 coming up, everybody. We're going to Infernal Shrines. Final map, we're going the distance. The blue team on the left with Whoopi on Dehaka this time. We have Azzy on Greymane. Xaylia is playing Genji. And we have Smexy on Malfurion and Breeze on ETC. So double frontline for them now. Going up against names are overrated who decided to go into triple melee. Hanzuka is playing Anduin. We got Mr. Taiko on Hogger. The Dark Wolf on Tyrael. And then Philadelphia on Leoric. And we're getting a Sniper on Hanzo. So, this is going to be an interesting one. Again, we have the Swedes in full force, full power, with the aim to move through the winner bracket. Xaylia's jumping in. Quick reminder, 30 seconds in, we're going to have the mercenary camp spawning. So it's not at the 1 minute mark anymore, which allows the team to move onto the camps much, much faster than previously. I talked also a bit about changes that happened on Infernal Shrines specifically. And the biggest one is that the Punisher is now not jumping over gates any longer. So all this baiting the Punisher over with an ability is not a thing anymore, which doesn't really have a big impact when we're talking about Wood League. but when we're talking about the top level play, that basically buffs the objective a bit and makes it harder for opponents to take it out, so you can get a bit more value out of it. Also talking about value, that was a really nice play. Anduin is down, Malfurion with a kill. Nicely done. So, yeah, awesome job. So that was actually a really nice quick kill from them, and the camp that they were able to take. So very likely we're going to get 3 mercenary camps now for Team Gonen. After they lost map number 1, I gotta admit that they seem to be having found their stride. There's a few more changes for Infernal Shrines. It all revolves around the skeleton minions. So there's reduced damage for them, health got decreased as well, movement speed got increased a little bit for what it's worth, and they also have a little bit of spell armor, which means, of course, that if you just fire away with abilities from outside, you're not going to take them down as easily anymore. But generally speaking, you should, at least if you're present on the shrine itself, be able to grab them a little bit faster. So once again, the Inspire mechanic has kicked in a bit. The Dark Wolf is completely lost. He's trying to get his cooldown back and escape, but that's a second kill for Team Gonen. And the Swedish team is actually looking pretty okay here. So yeah, that one was strong. They have Greymane again, which can help with any kind of push. And now with Inspire in, that is going to give them more damage on these structures. The first tower is already out. They've done a bit of damage towards the gate and are close to dropping that too. So these pushes are pretty strong. Really helpful for them. Now, can they do more with this? That's of course the next question. Attacks are already coming through here in the middle. I mean, right now what we're getting is the first objective all the way up at the top. We have Azzy going for the camp. The same is also true, of course, on the other side, where the red team is making a play for their shaman camp. But with Dehaka up against Leo, this could be an interesting one. This is where the side lane again becomes so important, and all of that experience soaked that we're obviously going to get. So at this point, Mr. Tycho gets attacked again, but is able to get out. Dehaka and Leoric are still rotating between the lanes, and the blue team has already established a pretty significant lead in experience for themselves. Not only did they get the 2 kills, but they also were able to walk away with all of the mercenary camps, which of course boosted the lead even further. So not too bad. But yeah, with this, we are looking at the first Arcane Punisher that is now being fought for. And it's a level 7 that we're getting for Team Gonen. Symbiosis on level 7, starting things off with the Enduring Swarm here for Dehaka in regards to the build. Nice root, and the attack comes in, forcing the red team back, and they're starting to suffer a bit on this. There's also a decent lead already for the blue team on the objective, and, well, names are overrated, hasn't been able to make a move for it yet. So this is getting a bit tricky for them. They're not making a serious play for the Punisher any longer, realizing already that this is not going to happen. So this is going to be an Arcane Punisher for the blue team, and therefore the attempt to try and take down the wall and maybe a bit more up at the top. Since the bait over the wall is not an option anymore, they should at a minimum get the wall. Most likely they're going to get more than that. So here comes that push. Already Punisher slowly jumping in. Again, does not jump over it, jumps in front, and they can instantly start to attack here. Have Inspire kicking in already for some of the minions over here, now for the rest as well. And this push is immediately enhanced. Now the defense is set up with 3, and they were able to take not only the wall out, but they're also getting damage on the fort itself. Punisher still not completely destroyed. It's happening soon, but you can tell how strong this push now is. You have the Inspire mechanic on the minions, and you have the Punisher that does not get baited over walls anymore. So that's a fort gone from the first objective alone. Was well done too. There was no 5-man defense. We still have to put it in context. But still, this is now 3 kills to 0 with Hogger being eliminated. Nearly level 10, and that's all happening at the 5-minute mark. So for Team Gonen, very, very strong start now. And really just lining all of that up. So that's pretty big. And this again is all happening in the context of structures generally now being tougher. Structures have an increased HP of 12.5% now. Always have to contextualize this a little bit. There are more mechanics in the game now to make these pushes stronger, more aggressive, and give especially side laners more push power. but it also comes at the cost of structures trying to offset it so that the game length doesn't drop too massively, or not at all. And in this case, the first fort already gets destroyed, so this could now, with the passive experience increases for the blue team, cause a bit of a problem for names are overrated. This is actually one of the maps that I personally think could be impacted the most. We had previously a fair amount of games on Infernal Shrines where teams were falling behind in experience quickly and struggled to get to, well, at least an even talent tier so that they can fight for the objective. This could now be even more a thing. Because if you get the first objective and then you get an experience increase through passive XP increases, and you're pulling ahead by getting a couple of kills as we're seeing here, I think it's going to make it very difficult for an opponent to get back into any kind of range where they have even talents and can fight even fights. Now, this was already a bit of an issue previously sometimes on Infernal Shrines. I'm not sure if the problem is really going to be exacerbated here, but it could be more extreme. Time will tell. Level 10 abilities on both sides now. We get Judgment and Horde pulled as they're trying to go for a kill. Nice ult from Smexy though, as he's still alive. And a big 3-man mosh from Breeze. First he created space for the team and then he tried to help them to turn the fight around, which he weren't able to do. There was still definitely a bit of a tricky moment. So now Minion Wave gets attacked again. Hogger is trying to stop all of this before Wooby can push in for structures. Keep in mind that this Inspire mechanic is not getting triggered on minions alone. You have to attack structures nearby. So you get punished if you do not react to an opponent pushing for your fort, for your keep. But if you stop them midway, then there's not going to be any kind of impact. So people need to play a little bit more around that. But either way, at this point, we have now a level 13 advantage for Team Gonen, and you can see that this is happening with the next objective being available. So there's this 1 level difference between the two teams. And we're going to take a closer look at the experience here too. Minion experience, this time very even. It's really the hero and the mercenary experience where Team Gonen takes the big lead. And of course, they have an advantage through the passive XP increase after they took this fort out, but it's a small one at this point in time. Still, seems like Names Overrated are willing to fight, and they take Greymane out. They're willing to fight, being a talent down, and they are able to eliminate Greymane. So it's a 5 versus 4. Both of the teams still fighting for the objective. Whoopi gets attacked, but Xaylia jumps deep into the backline, trying to get a kill and make this a 4 versus 4. Ult is out from Smexy, but it's Dehaka that dies. Dehaka is eliminated. It's a frozen Punisher that we're fighting for this time. And with now a 5 versus 3 on the map, Names are overrated at taking control of the shrine, of the objective, and will get the frozen Punisher. Nicely done. Yeah, really, really neat move now through the middle. And of course the question immediately, how much damage can they do here? Gate is there. Punisher is ready. Yeah, and this time gets baited in. With the gate already gone, they could bait this over, but this only results in the fort being instantly disabled. Genji is now at the top. He has, of course, a lot of mobility that he brings in that will allow him to travel the map very fast. They have the Haka for that too, but this could end up with some situations where Genji is pushing with the minion wave and just trying to get an Inspire push going. So, yeah. For now, we have 13 on both sides. Those 2 kills came in quite handy. Philadelphia on Leoric has been dealing with Genji at the top. But we still have another camp that is about to be taken. And this is where Team Gonen gets a huge chunk of the Access experience that they're running right now. Doing really well here. Now, attacks slowly coming in. Okay. You can, by the way, also tell the radius of the extra armor that you get. So this is a bit of a weird one with now forts and keeps and also the core not targeting attackers any longer. So if you are a hero that is trying to hide underneath your keep or your fort, your structure is not targeting attackers any longer the way that it did before. The prioritization has completely shifted now. This is trying to make up for that by granting allied heroes that take damage in that radius, that little radius circle that you can see oftentimes around a major structure, extra armor, but that's also on a cooldown and only affects a single hero per structure. So kind of important to pointed out, makes diving a little bit easier, but you can see the circle right here around the fort, for example. So it's very, very close. Helps solo laners a little bit, but generally less intimidation now from these structures. The one change where I'm honestly very heavily on the fence. Having played MOBAs for a long time in my life, and a lot of different ones, I am honestly very, very used to structures just defending you as a hero wherever you are. And this is not the case any longer. We haven't seen it make that big of an impact in this series just yet, but of course it's still a thing. So the aggression that we're now seeing from Team Gonan results in the second fort being eliminated, and they are inching out advantage after advantage. Their own fort in the middle, with the Punisher push earlier, has not been destroyed, so this thing is still standing. Them having taken down 2 means that their passive experience increase is now getting bigger and bigger. And more importantly, when you look at the mercenary experience, with all of the extra camps that Team Gonan has taken, they're taking a huge chunk there. I mean, they're even behind in minion experience. Names are overrated, doing a better job soaking the lanes right now than Team Gonan. But it doesn't really matter. They at least get level 16 just in time for the next objective. But they still at 1 level advantage for the blue team. That is an issue. And it's mainly coming from the added XP through the hero kills and also mercenary experience more so than anything else. Damage output, we got 40,000 for Hanzo. 30,000 for Genji. The Shimadas, as usual, are doing their thing. And, well, by now we're having the next objective popping up, and that's going to be a Mortar Punisher. And this will be a super important fight now. There's only 1 fort still standing on the red team side with a fountain that they can use to try and get some sustain for themselves. So, once again, Yahaka gets slowed down a little bit. In comes the Entomb against Smexy. The arrow connects, but they need more as a follow-up. That's not going to be enough. Philadelphia trying to get out. Genji Greymane are starting to go full tag team on Leoric, and he's gone. 6 kills, 2-2. Gonan looking good. Leo, he will be back, but they used a lot here, and they actually pushed them back towards the fountain to tap real quickly, and then re-engage into the battle, which they will. Leo is still down for another 10-15 seconds roughly, but there is a lead now. 4 names are overrated. Greymane is jumping in deep. That's not the only problem. Tyrael is also getting attacked. The Dark Wolf gone, Hanzo gone, and they get another kill. Hit after hit is coming. That's 4 heroes down. Diablo not in the game, but we have still some characters from the same universe, namely Leoric, and he already respawned. But 4 kills during that fight. And now the objective is going over to Team Gonan. They're already working the fort in the middle. So very, very aggressive style that they're playing. And this is just working better and better for them. If you look at the progression throughout the entire series, you can really tell that from game 1 to 2 to 3, the blue team has become stronger and stronger and stronger and better coordinated. And this is a real issue now. 4 names are overrated. And they're struggling to deal with it. Previously, it was the red team that on map 1 was just looking cleaner, but now it's the very opposite. So this is looking extremely good for Team Gonan, specifically, of course, with them now splitting their forces. The Haka pushing at the bottom of the map, them pushing at the top, level 20 kicking in thanks to them gathering more experience. The Entomb missing too. And then on top of this, if the Haka attacks the structures a little bit more, he will also trigger Inspire. Haven't really done that. Yeah, Genji could do it. But there's also not that much left from that minion wave. And even the Punisher has now been eliminated. So, yeah, they get good damage in on the keep. But they're not able to take the entire thing out. Nice dodge on the arrow. Yeah, job well done. And let's see if they can with the next minion wave do a bit more here. Once again, Judgment comes out. Order pulled. They want the kill. They can't get it. Leo is gone, but another stun. Greymane dies finally, but they also lost Tyrael. So it's a 2-for-1 trade. I'm not going to be too happy about this. But they're still pushing them back, so the defense is still able to make that happen. And again, this is with a 2-level disadvantage and with them not having a level 20. But now that Hogger gets killed thanks to the drag that we saw from the Haka, this is likely going to be the end of the key. Big damage coming in, and Team Gonan just showing no mercy here. Once again, the Inspire mechanic kicking in. In case that you haven't checked out the patch notes just yet, Inspire essentially gives the minions 35% more attack speed and 35% more movement speed for 3 seconds every single time that it gets procced there. And so, yeah, they're trying to do their best for now with this. And it doesn't affect illusions, doesn't affect summons, but it still gives you a bit more push power with that minion wave. I got to give some credit to the two teams that we have in our first series of the day, though. Both of them did a very good job reacting to pushes on lanes. So we had very few situations where a hero was able to take full advantage of that Inspire mechanic without being instantly met by an opponent that was trying to take the minions out and remove that as a factor. So that's already a small adjustment to the general playstyle here, and it worked quite nicely. It will be interesting to see how other teams in the group today are going to deal with all of it. But right now, we have 16 minutes on the clock, 12 kills to 3, and names are overrated are still defending, and trying to get level 20. They've missed out on taking a single structure out just yet, and they lost everything with the exception of 2 keeps. So, all the way up at the top, that's where the next shrine is going to spawn for the next objective. But here's level 20, so finally they have a chance. Hotter Pull gets upgraded into the secret stash. Judgment could upgrade that too. We have Buried Alive for Leoric. There's a lot of stun by the way now as well. Bullseye coming in, Judgment with the Angel of Justice. So they can dive hard on a target now. Hotter Pulled of course too. There's already the stun chain. Not so sure if ETC was really the target. I expected them to make a play for Malfurion or Greymane. But that's a lot of cooldowns burned now against ETC, who simply jumped out with his Ride the Lightning. So that hurts. And Dehaka, Greymane are pushing the bot lane. Guys, they're going for the core. Dehaka, Greymane are going for the core at the bottom of the map. So at the top, Genji is down. The blue team, they're going to try and stop them from hearthing. All they got to do here is try and stop them from hearthing. But the first one, hearthed back already. The core is still taking damage. Greymane is doing some work, and we have, of course, the same happening for Mubi. The core is down to 30%. Catapults are hitting, so does the camp. That's game. That's game. GG, Team Gonen moves on to the next round of the winner bracket. Well played.